Hello everyone, welcome to the Weeb initiative. I'm your host, the Weeb. This is the show where every other week I'll be talking about anime, manga, and everything in between. This week we'll be talking about Kill la Kill. So before I even start, some housekeeping. First off, I opened a Discord server for the podcast. Link in the description, the podcast bio, please enter. I want to chat about anime and stuff. That's it. Second thing, shout outs to two manga I'm currently reading. They are not even near their end. I hope they don't end, but anyways, the first one is called Fufu Ijo Koibito Mimang. It's a great romance for all I care. It's a pretty different kind of plot, kind of setting, and I really like it. From what I know, the anime was recently announced for, I think, the next season, 2022, so looking forward to that. I will watch it and I'll be so mad because it's so good and I get so mad reading it. And the second one is a more permanent one for those who read manga. It's the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. It's a satire of romance and harem. And it's just great. It's another romantic comedy that's way more comedy than romance, but it's so wholesome. I love it. So anyways, those are the two shoutouts I needed to do. And now to the meat and potatoes of the episode, right? So first things first. Spoiler alert. I have thought a lot about this because Kill la Kill is such a weird anime in and of itself, and from what I can gather and from what I feel, really, I don't want to spoil everything to anyone who hasn't watched it. And for the most part, Kill la Kill is something that you need to experience for yourself, but even then I will not spoil everything about the plot after the episode 16. So after episode 16, I'm gonna be really murky with the details and straight up just cut out some parts because I really hope you who are listening to this really watch it and really enjoy it as I did. Again, it's the second time I watched it. It's really good. So many details came to light after 8 years that I watched it. Anyways, so what's it about? What is Kill la Kill about? So I'll just start with the simple synopsis. Really, the start of the anime is really just Matoi Ryuko coming to this, let's say, this strange city with this huge school and looking for the person who killed her father. That's the baseline of everything that starts this story. Okay, so before I continue with the story, first the stats, right? So following my review of Gurren Lagann, I want to review some of the anime from Studio Trigger, and although I already said it in the Gurren Lagann review, Gurren Lagann is not really made by Trigger, but a lot of people who work at the production of Gurren Lagann eventually founded Studio Trigger, and you can see because Kill la Kill is the first original anime coming out from them. It came out in October 2013 through March 2014, and for the most part it's an OVA, right? and it's so full of, oh man, it's I'll get to that, but it's awesome. It's a whole experience. It's really good. The also, as in Gurren Lagann, they had this thing where they really aimed at all the faces of the anime. So the music production is I don't know if produced by or stewarded by Sony Music. The original soundtrack is really great. I will shout out some of the highlights, some of the most prominent and to me the most, let's say, really good ones. So pretty much that's the stats. The anime has 24 episodes and 1 OVA. I'm not covering the OVA, and that's about the stats. Back to the story. So first things first, right? I have to tell about the story, but I have to emphasize this anime is restless. You cannot take your eyes off the screen, not even a second. Mainly for the first, let's say, first season, right? First half of the story, because they put so much ideas, they put out so many ideas, so many gags, so many visual quirks, so many animation details in the first half that I really I cannot describe it, but don't take your eyes off the screen if you watch it. All the, even dialogues, exposition and all, they always try to keep up this good humor, this escapade for the comedy relief. Even if they are fighting and all, the comedy relief will be there, and they will try, even in the middle of the fight, get some joke out, get some gag out, some gig in the middle of nowhere, and it rewards you to see the details. And also, before I even continue, right, there is a whole lot of things that you can analyze in Kill la Kill, because Kill la Kill actually is a whole play on words, from the title to the name of the characters, and from the whole thing is about play on words. I don't speak Japanese that fluently to know everything, but the one who I remember really, it's that Mato Ryuko is the one that stitches everything together. Okay, that aside, let's begin. So first episode, she transfers to this academy, Honoji Gakuen. It's a high school dominated by, let's say, they have a whole caste system. It's a hierarchy of power, right? So they have this, they call it Goku uniforms that given powers, and between the uniforms there is the separation of stars. So 1 star is really low power, and 3 stars is the elite 4 of the student council, and then the 2 stars are just for the club presidents, and that's the whole thing, where the head of it all is the student council president, the antagonist for the first half, that is Kiryoin Satsuki, and she's this, I'm not even talking about the protagonist yet, but just to clarify, right? So Ryuko, who's the protagonist, is this fight the system kind of girl. She's really violent, she outbursts a lot of emotion, she's really reckless, let's say in the first half. Mainly in the beginning, she's really reckless. She is not logical, she's really emotional. She cannot stabilize her emotions. And to the counterpart that, Satsuki is this down to the ground, really calculating, really cold kind of person. She, as she even says, she does everything with purpose, so nothing she does ever is for nothing. Everything she does has a whole way of affecting all her plans. And that's basically the first thing, right? So what's Kill la Kill about that? I have to talk a little bit about the world building because it's really, really important. So for this city that is below the academy, the social status of people are based on their power or academic success in some cases. And so there are the students who are no stars, so they don't have the special Goku uniform. They're the 1 stars, the 2 stars, and the 3 stars. It's a gag that comes up later in the anime for like episode 12, episode 13 from what I remember. And the whole family actually does not affect how they live. The real, let's say, social ascension happens when you succeed at the academy. And the whole academy and the whole social system is controlled by one person, Satsuki. So you can already see from the beginning, and Satsuki is introduced in the first season, the first episode, and Ryuko already doesn't like her. So, and you get a lot of vibes from Gurren Lagann in that sense, because Ryuko is kind of Kamina who fights the power, who fights this establishment of the, let's say, this kind of order that imprisons people, and Satsuki represents that ever-present fear, survival, and let's say being afraid of everything, right? And then we get this really good interaction that Ryuko enters the school really okay, right? She, I think, watches 1 class and then the whole thing starts to unravel. The thing is, at this point we get introduced to the one of the most important ones. Some might say the second most important. Supporting character, main characters, I would say. But Mankan Shoku Mako, she's the one of the most important main characters in the series. She's the support that really, let's say, she maintains Ryuko under control for the most part. Although she herself is not in control of her actions. Mako is, for the most part, the comedy relief in the whole anime, but she is really important for some plot points moving forward, right? And so the plot of the first episode is that Mako, for one reason or another, gets involved with Ryuko, and Ryuko already getting the Satsuki on alert. She grabs Mako and turns her into a hostage, and for one reason or another, Ryuko just escapes for in the first encounter. Then something happens where she goes to her old house that's burned down for some reason, and for what I remember, they kind of try to expose the let's say the backlore, the background story for the anime. They start to do that because it's this vision thing, so Ryuko has a really blurry memory of the whole event when her father's dead and is murdered and stuff happening. So the thing is, she enters the mansion and finds this trapdoor where she finds the most important main character outside of Ryuko already, Senketsu. Senketsu is the sailor uniform that really he talks. The first thing is he talks, and then he forces himself into Ryuko's body because he moves for some reason. And okay, let's just go with that. So moving forward, Ryuko returns to the school, fights a random that Satsuki throws at her, and the thing is, right, Ryuko has now Senketsu, and her weapon that's the half of a scissor her father had. It's more of a sword for the most part, but it's half of a scissor for the time being. And apparently, it's the one thing that can cut the Goku uniforms, because at that point, the Goku uniforms were unbreakable, unterrible, and outright invincible. But for some reason, comes a transfer student with the weapon that destroys everything you build. Pretty nice. So that's the first episode. So you get introduced to already the three main characters and the antagonist for the first part. Okay, and you get something for the world building. And now I have to say, right? So you watch the first episode and you seen the transformation, let's say, that Ryuko comes across with Senketsu. The thing you have to know about Kill la Kill is that Kill la Kill is first and foremost an action comedy, and although it can be really, really focused on the action when it matters, and thanks to Trigger because their animation is so good, the thing is, the comedy is always present. It's only present on the whole anime. And the thing is, to me, this is satire for those, let's say, old Mahou Shoujo, magical girl animes. So if you think Sailor Moon and the like, to me, Kill la Kill is a huge satire of that genre, because the attire is so skimpy. It is bikini armor with a little flare. Let's just for a image comparison, it's the Vorac bikini with a cover for the upper side of the breasts, and that's it. That's the whole attire and her battle armor. And to be fair, the whole joke about her being embarrassed because that's an exhibitionist kind of outfit, it's really good. And that's one of the main points for the first two episodes, is that she has to break in this shame, because she, as the girl who wields this power greater than the most powerful uniform and all, she has to accept it and internalize it, because it will hold her back and all. Saying it like that comes out so weird, but really, just a real advice right now. If you are going to watch it, please do not do it with your parents present. It's really hard to explain it. Anyways, so that's the first and second episode. Okay. Third episode is when we see that Senketsu is not... It's special, but it's not so, let's say, so far from reality, because apparently Satsuki has a kind of uniform parallel to Senketsu. So they call Senketsu a Kamui, and this is the more world building, right? So the Goku uniforms are made from normal cloth and these life fibers. And if one star has 10% of life fibers in the cloth, the 2 stars have 20%, the 3 stars have 40%, and then the Kamui have 100% life fibers. And that's basically the measure of power, right? So you have a better kind of uniform. You can use more power out of your body. And then they kind of explain it that so much power comes out from the life fibers that they cannot up the percentage for people. So from 50% onward, it's impossible to control the person. And that's it. Basically, that's it. So then we get to the third episode is basically things happening in this life fiber explanation, and Satsuki getting Junketsu, who that's her kamui, and she becomes really, really strong with her kamui, so much stronger and so much more in tone with the kamui than Ryuko, that she gets to beat Ryuko at that point, right? And then all the interactions at this point end up, if Ryuko ends up losing a fight, she just vanishes from the school for, I don't know, some hours. It's really like it's really nonsense when you think about it, because yeah, you just like fought to the death with someone on one day, escaped, and then you have to go to school again the next day and see the same person again. Like, what? Anyways, I'm getting too much into the plot. I will get to the why the plot's not really important. So anyways, so episode 4 is basically more world building. You get to see one of the first the most prominent elite 4, the student council members, that is Gamagore Ida. Gamagore Ida, I will already say, someone who worked in Gurren Lagann really liked Ida, because he's the one who most resembles even the frames that he's in, the moments that he resembles so much from the whole cast of Gurren Lagann, but mostly Kitan. He resembles him too much. He's the disciplinary committee chairman, and he's really you can see that the guys drawing him had fun with the scenes, because at some points he's just like a bit taller, I would say some 10 centimeters more taller than the girls, than the other people in the whole anime, and other times he's just this giant coming out of nowhere. For the first let's say, for the first encounters, it comes out of that he like enters a classroom where he cannot stand up, otherwise the whole building will come apart. It's so funny. Anyways, episode 5, you get introduced to this let's say this mysterious character at that point, Tsumugu Kinagase, that he's part of a rebel alliance of the guys against the uniforms for some reason. At that point, it's not really explained. Let's leave it at that. Episode 6, you see another one of... Oh, right. Episode 5, you see another one of the Elite 4. That's Jakuzure Nono, who's... she's themed after a marching band. And she's... It's later explained, but she's Satsuki's childhood friend. So, episode 6, right? You get introduced to another one of the Elite 4. Sanageyama Uzu, who's the club kendo club president. And then we kind of get to this point at episode 7 where it kind of gets episodic a lot. So at that point, Satsuki is just churning out club presidents and people with Goku uniforms to fight Ryuko, because at that point Ryuko's number one enemy, public enemy of the whole school. But at the same time she stays there, which plot-wise not really relevant, but at the same time, what's happening here? Is this even a school? What? Why? And so episode 7, you see this whole thing where a lot of people come up after Ryuko, and the start of the tournament arc, let's say. The tournament arc in this instance is Satsuki proposes a death match, sudden death election, and so people who fight the most and win the most battles will get elected for being the Elite Four and all. But you can already see where this is going at that point. The social structure will be kept the same because the ones with the most power are already at the top. So anyways, and that's the episode 7. It's the introduction of this tournament arc. Episode 8 is the part where we get some, let's say, character development, introduction to a more deep side of the Elite Four. That's because the Elite Four eventually gets to be, let's say, present in the main plot, the overarching plot of the whole anime. But anyways, so episode 8, we get to see the story of how Satsuki met Ira, Gamagori Ira, right? The disciplinary committee already said it. And you get to see that. And this is the whole thing about style and aesthetics that I say that Trigger has. And for Kill la Kill, they really went out of their way to make it the most well-made, curated kind of stuff. All the flashbacks. So we have a whole lot of flashbacks from the Elite Four at the moving forward. And for all the flashbacks, they do this thing where they turn the 16:9 aspect ratio in 4:3. But the funny thing is, it is 16:9, but the black borders are like hand painted, and it's so pleasing, so aesthetic pleasing. So it's an attention to detail that you don't see every day. That you can see the failures where the pen or the pencil don't actually cover all, so you can see these really little pixels of color failing to be obscured by the bars. And also at this point I already have to say this, but watch your anime 720 or up, because anything below that is just disservice to yourself. This is for most animes, but I think Kill la Kill deserves every advantage you can give it to it, because it's so beautiful. The animation is so good. I'm getting sidetracked. Let's get back to the thing. So episode 8, we get this look at Ira's past, and then we kind of start the fight between Ira and Ryuko. So episode 9 is the fight, so you can see the actual powers of the 3-star uniform of Ira, and all the 3 stars have different things. Ira in this case is kind of a masochist. It's really strange, and as I said, Kill la Kill is based on play on words. Ira says so much shit. It's so funny because it's this serious battle and all, but you are there just belly laughing out of your mind because of those puns. It's so good. And then, well, whatever. Ryuko eventually strips him off of his uniform. So episode 10, you get introduced to the last Elite Four that we were not introduced till that point. Inumuta Hoka, who's the hacker man of the whole series. And his fight's pretty good. It starts pretty good, right? It starts really, really nice. The whole... He has digital kind of stuff, matrix, getting visible, make clones and attack from unexpected angles and all. But he eventually just forfeits the match, which is pretty... It's anticlimactic. I mean, it is on character, but it's anticlimactic nonetheless. So, getting through. Episode 11, we get Ryuko fighting again Nonon, and her uniform is a whole nother thing. And this is the part where I say they really took their time choosing songs for this anime, because they use all classical songs that are on the public domain, and they are popular songs. Everybody has at the very least listened to them at least once. I don't remember every one of them. The one that I remember is, I think it's Ride of the Valkyries, and then Beethoven Symphony Number 5. I don't remember any more from head right now, but anyways, that's the thing. And all her battle style is basically long range and shoot music notes at people. It's really nice. And they eventually get to this part in the middle of the fight where they kind of acknowledge the fact that that's not a uniform anymore, from the point where she kind of summons a tank that turns into a flying jet. It's no longer a uniform, but whatever, let's just roll with it. And then we get to episode 12, and well, actually episode 11 kind of already pulls the plug on the whole thing. When Nono is beaten and Sanagawama... Oh boy, I just said his name wrong, but anyways, when Ryuko gets to fight the last one of the Elite Four, let's just say shit hits the fan real hard. And that's when the whole overarching story of the anime really starts to pile on. And I'll say this, right? So we are right now at episode 10 going into 11, and from what I can gather, someone at Trigger really took their time making the story, because from here on it maybe get rushed, just maybe. The anime has 24 episodes, but the thing is, from episode 11 to episode 15, it's a whole arc. So the season doesn't actually end at episode 12. So anyways, what is the things hit the fan and the plot really starts rolling. So it happens that a little lolly comes into the school for no apparent reason, and she steps between Ryuko and the Elite Four. Why? We don't know. But she appears with the other half of the scissors that Ryuko's father had. And then Ryuko gets this moment where she really gets mad. Like, really gets mad. And you have to imagine, right? At this point, Senketsu and Ryuko are all in sync and all. And Senketsu talks to Ryuko and all. At this point, Ryuko gets so mad that Senketsu goes berserk, basically swallows her really, and she turns into a monster. And then we get this whole arc, this whole fight where Ryuko is desperately trying to kill this girl whose name is, and I just noticed that I didn't tell her name from the start, goddamn, Harime Nui. And the thing is, so Monster Ryuko is trying to kill Nui, but then the thing is, Ryuko is losing a lot of blood, and basically she will die from blood loss in like 5 minutes. And so they start really trying to stop Ryuko. Even Satsuki gets down and tries to stop her with Junketsu. But the one thing that really gets Ryuko calm again is Mako. Mako comes out with those really sentimental moments, saying that Ryuko saved her from one of the previous episodes, and it's this really heartfelt moment. It's really wholesome, and it's delivered in this kind of comedic style, because every time that Mako tries to get in an exposition, is so it's so clunkily animated, but it's so funny. The puns and I don't know Japanese enough to know all the jokes they're making, but every word she says, they use an animation to represent the same thing. So like Japanese has a lot of words that multiply. So kiru can be to wear or to cut, for example, right? And the thing is, everything that Mako says in these exposition moments where she just interrupts the fight to just deliver this comedic relief is just those play on words. It's just that. It's so funny. And that's also why I say Kill la Kill is front and foremost a comedy, and second, an action anime. So, anyways, getting back to the thing. And then Mako stops Ryuko, and then we get this one kind of one episode where it seems kind of filler that Ryuko gets in the beds, right? So Journey of the Hero again. It's the rise and then the fall. So Ryuko gets kind of afraid of using Senketsu again after she survived the monster episode, let's say, because she does not believe in herself to control her emotions at all. And fair. It's all fair. I don't really have much to say about this part of the anime because the beds are always so hard to watch. The fall of the hero is always so hard to watch, to me at the very least. And let's just keep it at that, right? So episode 12 basically is this random appears out of nowhere, and he wants to see Ryuko dressed in Senketsu for some reason. And lo and behold, actually it's Nui back again after Ryuko was stopped, and Nui actually was banned from entering the school by Satsuki. And then we already get this thing where Satsuki knows Nui for some reason, and nothing is explained yet. What could that be? Anyway, so episode 12 ends up with Ryuko almost losing control again, but in her trying to control herself, she holds back too much, and Nui just kind of almost kills her, and basically splits Senketsu, which is pretty sad. But nonetheless, let's continue. Episode 13, you see that a lot more of world building actually. So apparently Satsuki has this plan where she wants to control all the schools in Japan for some reason, and she uses, and this is the thing about world building, right? All the schools are militarized as the main school, and they all have different tactics, different powers, and all. It's really nice as if you see as a world building kind of thing. It's not so much as a Boku no Hero or I don't know Naruto for that sense, but you see that they kind of do their own thing. They create this whole world, and every one of the academies, they schools, right, they visit have their regional kind of styles for attack and troops and all. It's pretty nice. It's although it's kind of a filler, this episode 13 really. It's kind of a filler, but it's really nice to see. So what happened in episode 13 really is that Satsuki is going to capture the last 3 academies in the whole country, and she has taken the parts from Senketsu that were split and basically patched on into some uniforms to the troops to use. And so we get this episode about Mako and Ryuko going to Osaka and just stripping people out of their clothes to recover Senketsu. And Mako, as always, being the comedic relief. It's so hilarious. She gets so many souvenirs from Osaka that she rolls over. It's funny. So in episode 13, we get this whole explanation about what was the anti-clothing guerrilla, let's say, and it's the funniest name of the whole series, Nudistobichi. For some reason, I don't know, man. The guys on Trigger, they had fun doing this. I can only assume. So the whole thing is Satsuki actually wanted to invade Osaka so she could destroy the resistance, so she could actually control the whole country, because the resistance apparently had enough force, although not enough, to outright stop her, but they could, let's say, just spoil her plans enough to her to take the time off to just destroy their HQ. Anyways, so episode 14 is a bunch of exposition and a whole lot of setup for the, let's say, the end of the season, the first part at the very least. Episode 15 is about an encounter after Ryuko has like 9% of Senketsu back. She fights Satsuki because she has like the glove Ryuko uses to transform, and basically she gets Senketsu fully back. Although she doesn't actually defeat Satsuki, she draws. But the whole thing actually ends with Satsuki having destroyed the Nudisto Beach HQ. So now episode 16 is the recap episode. I don't know why they do this. I think it's fine. It's not really for me, but anyways. And there's some exposition for the world building and the things that happen after that. But for the most part, recap episode, a little plot, let's go home. From this point forward, I'll cut out some really important details, let's just say, and that's basically it. So first thing, right, from episode 16 forward, we get to meet, we get to listen to the new opening. That's Ambiguous by, and I'll say this wrong, oh boy, I'll say this so wrong, Garni Delia, and it's a really, really good song, Ambiguous, link in the description for the YouTube clip. And we get also to meet Satsuki mother, Ragyo Kiryuin. Mame, and let's just say first, her song, there's a whole song just for her theme song, let's say, Blumenkrans. It's so nice. Oh boy, it's so nice. And let's just say also, as an addendum, her character design, her normal character design, right? The one she shows up as in the first, because later on she appears in some other attires. It's not really for my taste, but the first one is really, really stylish. They give her this whole colorful rainbow outfit, and what can I say? I like RGB, and she has this whole rainbow kind of effect on her. It's really nice. That aside, we get to meet her, and for better or for worse, she gets to be the last antagonist. I'll just cut to the chase, right? So, remember when in Gurren Lagann, Kamina says that Shimon has the drill that will pierce the heavens? This is the thing that stays with Trigger to this day. Every Trigger anime ends up with a fight in space, with maybe one or two exceptions, but for the most part, their shonen titles go to space every time. And cut straight to the chase, episode 24, Ragyu and Ryuko get to fight in space. That's basically it, and that's the story. I cannot expand more, because if I expand more, I'll begin to spoil everything. I'll give just the side notes that don't give off everything. There's this one part where Ryuko gets messed up in the head, right? Really messed up in the head. And I really wished she had the willpower to break it herself. But this is not the kind of story that the main character has all the willpower. It's not Gurren Lagann, although I wish it kind of was, and the friendship canon is way stronger than the force of will in this anime in specific. So I'll let it pass, but still, I wish she had that willpower at that point. That's the cryptic comment for this part. I don't want to beat too much around the bush. I just want to go to my opinion already, because for the most part I cannot say anything more about the story. So, oh right, before I enter my opinion, I want just to shout out one more song, Before My Body's Dry. That is the theme song for Ryuko when she transforms. Really good song, link in the description. So, what are my opinions? What do I think, really? So, first things first. For the first part, right? The first part and the second part are two different things. They are not really composed of the same cloth, let's say. Being on theme, right? The whole thing is, the first part has too much of that sense of the fighting system, and for the most part, you think that's the beginning and the end of the whole thing, is fight the system, destroy the system. The thing is, the first part's awesome. For all I care, the first part is well done. It's really good. The animation's tight. The character designs are really nice. And the plot, to some points, is serviceable at best. It's really okay. For most of it, it's really good. Thing is, the second part is really done. I don't know, man. It comes to me, as I see it really comes out as if they come up with their stuff on the fly for the second part. From episode 16 onward, the story just begins to throw so much stuff at the wall to see if anything sticks. To the point that at the end, they start really trying to push the point that nonsense is our thing. So I don't know what happened, but it feels really disconnected for the most part. It is really hard to say it and explain it. It's really, I don't know, it's like they changed the writing target. I don't know, it's strange. I'll just leave it at that. The thing is, what is Kill la Kill about? What is, at the end of the day, what's Kill la Kill about? What is the story about? What it tells you? What is the overarching plot in the whole thing? To me, it is the story of a loner that learns about having friends and relying on people. That's the whole shebang, I think. And that's pretty much okay with me. It's a concept that I kind of am lukewarm to, so I can't really say that I like it. But anyways, it's serviceable. I don't watch Kill la Kill really for the plot, for the main reason. Kill la Kill for me is, as I said at the beginning, the whole anime is a spectacle. I could not take my eyes off the screen because I felt like I would lose a gag, animation detail, something really important to the enjoyment of the whole show. The music's awesome. The original soundtracks, it's awesome. It's so well composed. The set pieces for the characters, for the moments, is really good. And really, that's about it. I don't even know what to say anymore. At this point, it's been 1 hour in recording, and really I don't really know what to say anymore. So I'll call it that. As always, if you like the show, if you like to listen to the stuff I say, please like the show, follow on Spotify, on Apple, I don't really know, depending on the platform you are. Join the Discord, please, and I'll see you next time. Bye.